Hello. You may well have heard and may even have used such sayings as "I don't believe it" or "I can't believe what I'm hearing." I thought we'd have a look at this word belief. Now, many will straight away go to what is really the negative default programming because of the compartmentalization of the word, and readily spot that it contains the word lie in belief and believe. But what about the contrast? As I sit here, as you watch this, you can see contrast between light and shadow, and pretty much everything else in this physical reality will reflect contrasts. No different with this word, belief. It is compartmentalization. So we only hear the word in one way. But can belief be a good thing? Well, certainly if we put anything we believe in to the test, if we test it and see if what we believe in holds up to what is true. But let's have a little breakdown of this word belief and believe. Let's look at the characters. Well, the first one is the second character, the beta, the B. When you're in the state of B, you are a being. Next in that sequence comes the character E and the L, which gives you L, as in Elohim. Because you are the energy in a physical form. As I've said many times before, the alphabet is effectively just a series of glyphs, shorthand illustrations. So the L you could take as the lower half of the leg and the foot. Hence you have human energy on two legs, and you can certainly see this reality as being hell on earth. Certainly if you look at some of the external stories and you believe them. So it's saying BLIE, so it's the I and then the energy. Notice in believe and in belief you have the I fairly near the center. So we go with the word belief to start with. Yes, it contains lie, but it also leaves B, E, and F. Now the F is an interesting character, the sixth character of the alphabet, because when you see that sixth character, it is highly significant. So you have Phi, which is the golden proportion. So in this reality, you also have D-Phi. And of course, you have to decide for yourself what is true and what is not, depending on what you base things on, what you believe. So if we take the word believe, if we take the lie out of it, you're left with be-eve. If you look at the Eve, you've got E and then V and then E. So it's nicely balanced. So it's effectively saying to believe is to be even. Find the balance inside yourself. It requires using intuition. Now I can believe that I can manipulate the weather. As a testimony of that, I would say it's true. I programmed myself to wake up early, and I did think about going to Monteith to get the food supplies in yesterday, Thursday, but something said, no, hold off again till Friday. You don't need to go today. And that belief was borne out, because when it's really hot and you've got the heat reflecting off the ground, it can take me 2 hours to get there, because it is an uphill slog and it gets very, very warm. But today was cooler, the cloud cover stayed, And I actually said out loud, just stay there, don't let that sun come through just yet. So it was a nice, pleasant journey. So instead of 2 hours, it was down to 1 hour and 15 minutes. Made good progress. So that was a feeling of gratitude from that belief that came in. It was proven because it was tested and shown to be true when it was needed. So where else do we want to go with this? So also, you may notice, if you look at the construction of many words of the English language, let's take the sequence, this is an example, put together O, U, G and H, and what you'll get is some very strange sounds that show inconsistency. So we could have the word enough, so the O-U-G-H now sounds like it's U-double-F. But if we put it in a word like through or thorough, see how that sound, even with those combination of those 4 characters, now gives a very different sound, a different vibration, and yet it is still spelt the same. It is showing you that things don't add up in this reality that has an ad calendar system, an AD calendar system. Another word that is often pointed to, or a prefix, is the word con. Oh, it's a con, implying that it's a deception. But what if it is, if it is followed by the letter F, as in confidence, confidence? Because it is a con, because con can mean coming together, a fusion of things. You also then have to decide. Let's think about side. Well, we could express it as twin serpents, an angel on one shoulder and a demon on the other. So you have to decide and go with the center path between the two, which is the way. Hence you get I am the way in Christian teachings. But of course that's been carnalized and literalized and has become a belief system. You can look at, on one hand, the right hand, you could say is I am. Its counterpart, which is very much this reality, is Maya, one of illusion, one of reflections. So the only other combination that you can get from those 3 characters, if it's not I am, and it is not Maya, therefore it must be Aim, which is that center path again. So go with the intuition, go with what feels right, but also put it to the test. As I've said before, this reality is a diagnostic zone. It is a realm to test things out. That is what this experience is all about. It is so we can learn that what we're told is possible and what we're told is impossible can be tested. And my own experience is to show that what we've been told is not true at all. We are effectively transmitters and receivers, just like a radio. So we can receive a signal. That could be a conspiracy theory, for example. But it doesn't make it true. You can believe in it, yes. But does it stand up to all the tests? Does it show itself to be true, or does it fall away? There's also something else which is glaringly obvious, which is the natural route in belief, and that is shown by plants and by trees. Belief. And what does a tree or a plant do with a leaf? A leaf basically follows the same pattern, the same blueprint as the tree or the plant itself, in which it will go through a cycle from birth, as in germination of the seed, and then growth, and then it will mature, and then it will start a process of decay, and eventually the leaf will be let go. So in many ways, the external beliefs. It is take the natural path, and like the tree does with the leaves, let them go. Again, this is something from experience. There are many things that in this life experience I have let go. And before the event, part of you will say, I can't let go of that, so I can't let go of this. But Atlas becomes at last when you put down the weight of what you're carrying in that role, that archetype as Atlas, where you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You can say, at last. It is something I very much put into practice. With any manifestation, it is about going to the end, where you are in that state of relief. Notice that has lie in it. You've got belief and relief. But like so many vowel sounds, there are multiple sounds. So what if I was to suggest to you, rather than belief, to be live, be in the living, be in the moment? Just a few things here to ponder and weigh up, and not jump straight in with a compartmentalized, that word means that, because clearly from looking at etymology, what you'll find is there are multiple meanings. It just depends on our perception of these words, and also that weighing things up in sides between the external and the internal. In a physical form, you are at the threshold, at the gateway, and to gain the experience, to find that this world is not the way we were taught it is, and certainly we are not what we are supposedly. You have two narratives running which are in conflict because things don't add up in the AD Anno Domini calendar anyway. On the one hand, you may have the perception that there is a system in place, an unnatural system rather than the system of the body, which is telling you that you are insignificant, that you are lesser than a grain of sand on Mars, I believe, well, if I remember correctly, is the scientific explanation that we're nothing. So why would there be this system in place? What is it inside of us that is part of the object of this experience, of this physical life, than to actually find? That's not how it is at all. You defy what is being confided to you. And if it is being confided dead, of course, if it ends in ED, you'll notice it always sounds like dead because it's past, it's no longer here. And we are, of course, a presence in the present. So there's a few things to weigh up internally. But it doesn't matter what you believe. The belief will prove itself in the testing of it. It's something that Neville Goddard speaks of in many lectures. Test it for yourself so that you too can discover the knowledge. And I count myself in this, especially if it is extreme circumstances, if I was walking on a ledge and it was very high up, then there would be a fear to overcome. Hopefully I don't have to be put in that physical situation, but it is having the confidence and having the know-is, the knowing inside that how things are. The is the I and the spirit combined. A little sort of side note from this, if we think in terms of the Creator being the Father, well, it requires the generations of man. So from the Father, which is in pineal, it goes beyond the heart, it is farther away to the gut. That is the intuition, the power and the wisdom of God, as Neville Goddard puts it. The Christ consciousness inside, the gut feeling, the God feeling. It is about unlocking through intuition, through learning that language internally. So no matter what the external reality presents, and I've had this test put to me on almost a weekly basis of having the confidence, having the belief in self, the spiritual elf, you could say, that denies what the external reality is presenting and overwriting that script. It is something you can also put into practice in I can't believe what I'm hearing. So if you've got someone sending you a voice message or a text message or even speaking you in person and they're complaining about whatever, then you can overwrite that in your mind and you can deny what you're hearing and you can supplant that with a new seed. You unpluck that seed which is on fallow ground because you'll fall low, just like the leaf when it's let go. It is discarded. Instead, you overwrite it with hearing what you wish to hear from the other person, that they are healthy, things are going well for them, because there is also it's something I feel you can look externally and you'll see it everywhere. It is called demoralization. You can see it in architecture, for example, how things have gone from aesthetically pleasing to very stark and cube-like and not very I can't even say it now, getting tongue-tied. Aesthetically pleasing. There, we got it. And you'll certainly see it reflected in the genre of classical music where melody and harmony have been sort of lost, and a lot of this, what is called contemporary music in the classical music genre, it's anything but classical. It sounds like a grand piano being sort of wheeled to the edge of a flight of stairs. And it is demoralization. But we want more all realization. And we can do that with this wonderful thing, this technology of the internet, where we can communicate with each other in ways we couldn't have done before. Unless, of course, we get a massive spiritual injection, as it were, of bringing back telepathy, which would then would replace the internet completely, effectively. But of course, that's most likely what the internet is based on. Like everything else in this physical reality, its base is always in something that is spiritual. You'll see this reflected in the way the physical body will shut down when you pass that threshold, when you step through that doorway where spirit separates from matter. There is like a 3-day process that goes on where, although the physical object, i.e. the remains which remain here, seem to be inanimate, internally there is a program running in that destructive and shutting down process. You'll also find this with a handheld device like a cell phone. When you do the power off button or the reset, the light goes, the screen goes blank, and there seems to be nothing happening, but internally there is something happening. It is based on the physicality. And you'll find this with everything in this reality. Its source, its basis is always in spirit. It seems to be a blueprint with this. So you can take these same blueprints, and then I hope you can come to that realization that it is about self-belief, having that confidence inside oneself. So you're doing a Phi dance, the coming together of all of yourself wholly, rather than being separated into duality and labeling things as good or bad, but able to see that even where something would seem to be, where you could say it is in discomfort, having that inner knowing that that will pass, and that is only a phase, because what will come will be its contrast. Again, look around you in this physical reality. It is all about contrasts. So hopefully that has given you, if not a new perception, but maybe sort of a way of looking at things and not just taking the compartmentalized singular meaning of anything, and seeing that there are other things far more subtle that are actually far more positive. And belief, believe, and be life are perfect examples of this. Right, so much for keeping this to 15 minutes, but I feel I wanted to share this today. I always feel inspired when I come back from these shopping trips, so it seems to be always leads to a video. But it's about sharing is caring. The energy that I'm finding, I wish to then sort of radiate out, become that transmitter, as well as being a receiver of an experience and sharing that with you, in the hope that it will uplift and inspire you and help you to cope with what can seem very negative things in this reality. But are they? It again comes down to perception. So I think we'll end that there. It just hit 22 minutes, as it were. So, as always, unconditional love to you all, and may you find the balance in everything, and find that evenness, so you can be Eve once you take the lie away from belief and believe. Love to you all.